Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping in. 650, good guess. We'll wait for some more people to jump in, and then we'll get some guesses from some people. Then I'll show everyone what are actually put down. Hey, Mike, my first name's Travis. It's on my Instagram, but I don't really use my Instagram as much as I do YouTube, so. I do have the Cobra home now. Picked it up today, brought it home. Everything's running really well. I did some other stuff to it when I got home. Hey, how's it going? Put some of the chats up here. We have a guess of 650. Mike's Garage. I said my first name was Travis. It is on my Instagram, but I don't say it as much on YouTube. I try and check back in to see what the results are. I'm at work at the moment. Okay. My Instagram is also on the description of any of the videos. So if you have Instagram, you can go check there too, because I do have that up on Instagram right now. Yeah, I am. It was a long day. It was 2 hours down there, 2 hours back. It was hot. The car drove great. The IAT2 temps were in the 120s like the whole way back. The only time I got up to over that, I was sitting at a drive-through for probably 10 minutes, and it crept up 144 and then dropped back down when I started driving again. So it's running well. I'm going to guess 93 pump and made 644. We have a 650 and a 644. We'll give it I'm not going to make you guys wait too long. We'll give it 10 minutes until 7:10. And whoever's in here, I'll put the number up then. And whoever jumps in after, I'll just tell them when they come in. There are some slight issues with the car. I'll get into that in just a second. Mike's Garage, 625, 650, 644, and 625. No E85 in your area, right? No, I don't have any E85. I'm in Maine. The closest E85 station is in Massachusetts. So the most that I can do, I don't want to store drums of E85 in my garage. That's not something I really want to do. So what I'm thinking of doing is probably a Torco tune down the road. I'd like to do it this fall. I want to go back to the dyno with a Torco tune and see what I can pull with that on addition to what I already have right now. But also the fuel system that's in the car does have a 4 level 1 fuel system, but it's not set up for E85. I did not get an E85 kit. I don't believe the lines or the injectors will handle 85. And my car sits a long time in the wintertime. So I'm not really too big on, I've heard mixed things with the 85 as far as storing it, whether it's good or bad. Some people say it's fine. Other people say don't do it. I've never had problems with 93 when I take it out in the springtime. So I'm not, I don't want to venture into something that can cause more problems when I'm perfectly fine with where I'm at with the power level that it made. And I have no need to rush out and try and do an E85 on it. Store on a 93 tune. I think if I do Torco, it won't be as effective as 85, obviously, but with a Torco tune, it's going to put out some big numbers from where it's already at right now. I didn't get to talk to Pete, the tuner. He was not there today, but we did a few things on the car while I was there. One of the issues that it currently has right now, I need a different throttle return spring. The one that's on there, it's not quite tight enough. Aaron, the shop owner who did all the work on the car, he came down. We tried putting a couple of different springs on it. It's really not where it should be. And the other problem that I'm having, which is kind of a real pain in the ass right now, is my throttle cable is stretched. I think it was probably like that beforehand. But it's really touchy right now. I have a lot of slack, even when it wraps around where it hooks onto the bottom, where the throttle cable goes. It's got a ton of slack. So what happens is when I get on the throttle, the car like jerks forward. It wants to jump because it's so touchy. It's almost like someone that doesn't know how to drive a standard. The car lurches and jerks forward. So it's really tough right now. But Aaron ordered an adjustable throttle cable, had it rush shipped. So hopefully I have it here on Friday. And if I do, I'm going to run down to a shop. We're going to throw that on real quick and resolve that issue. And other than that, other than the throttle return spring and the throttle cable, everything is good. I had a bunch of other stuff done on the car too while I was there. I'll show you guys some pictures. There's a lot of powder coating underneath the engine bay now. Valve covers are done. Pulley bridge is done. Lower intake is done. And I'm having more stuff done, down the road. I just didn't want to have it all done at once. It was just, the bill was getting high enough as it was for everything that I was getting done on the car. So I decided to hold off on a few things, but so I'll show you guys those pictures. And the car just running really good. It was gone. I counted the number of days when the car went to the shop to the day that I picked it up today. It was 107 days the car was gone. A lot of people will think bad things about the shop, that it took them that long to get it all together. There was about friggin' metric ton of crap that happened that was out of their control. I tried doing a coolant crossover delete with the MMR. I covered this in the last stream. I'm not going to go over the whole entire thing again for those of you that have already heard this once, but I burned through 3 MMR coolant crossover deletes. All of them leaked. What ended up happening was we went with the OEM coolant tube. He just banged it out and put the OEM one back on. So what we're going to do long term is I do want to run a coolant crossover delete, but I'm going to get the On3 Performance one. I'll buy that. And then later on, when I go take the car back to the shop again over the winter time to have him do some more stuff to it, I'll have him put that on, because I don't, there are a lot of VMPs running out there with a coolant crossover tube banged, and they do fine. They don't have any issues. But Aaron suggested not to do it, and I feel more comfortable if I have a coolant crossover delete on there instead of having the tube bang, just in case it did compromise that tube in any way or it blows out or anything like that. So that's how it stands for now. We have an okay amount of people in here, so I'm going to try and do a screen share. What I need for you guys to do is to tell me if it works, if you can see the screen when I switch over, because then I can show you pictures of the dyno sheet and all that stuff. Can you guys see that? Thanks again, parts. I'm going to install them next week on Sunday. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you got them. I'm glad that worked out well. Can you guys see the other screen that's up? I just need to know if I'm doing this right, because I haven't tried a screen share before when doing this. Okay. I'll switch over to the other tab. Let me turn my phone down. There's a picture of the car as it is now. I put the radiator cover on, the Terminator radiator cover, Terminator coil covers, and I did the hood prop. I got rid of the hood prop and did the hood struts. As far as the numbers go, there's a dyno sheet. 676, 639 torque is what I put down. It was at 19.4 psi, which is high. That pulley combination I have. Here's the thing. Let me stop the screen sharing. Okay. Here's the whole story. That's dialed down. The very first pull that he did, it made 700 on pump 93 with the smallest pulley I can put on that supercharger. It's got a 3.3. That pulley is supposed to make 18 pounds. I mean 19 and a half. He dialed that back down, threw in a crap load of timing to bring it down so I could run it on pump 93, and the number settled at 676. Yeah, I was in a real tough spot because I was looking at other people with the same blower. Justin SVT has the Vmp Gen3 on a 91 tune. He doesn't have the Gen3R, which does flow better, and I have the 5-inch Vmp intake tube with a big massive filter on it. His pulled 650 on 91, so I knew I was going to be at least 650. There was another Cobra done on the same exact dyno earlier this spring with a Gen3R with long tubes and a Torco tune, and it put down 707. So I was thinking I'm going to be somewhere between 650 and 700. I was not expecting to hit 700. I was thinking maybe with the 93 tune versus Justin's 91, I may be able to pull like maybe 660, something like that, 665. The fact that it hit 700 on the first pull, I was not expecting that. And when Aaron told me what it pulled, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I just was completely blown away that it pulled that much. And the boost was 19.4. Like I said, that pulley is supposed to do 18, but for some reason, the numbers on the Vmp site for their pulleys are off because everybody that seems to put pulleys on is pulling more boost than what the pulley advertises as pulling. Yeah, it does. It does look really good now. When I do another video, I want to do a dyno video, but I don't have the footage from the shop yet. There was GoPro video footage taken when the car was done, but Pete hasn't been able to get that to me yet. So when he does that, I'm going to try to put together a dyno video. And when I do, I'm also going to do like a before and after of what the car looked like underneath the engine bay when I first picked it up versus what it looks like now. So it's coming along, but it's not done. There's still more powder coating to be done. There's still a lot of under the hood stuff that I want to do. When I got home today, I did that radiator cover, the hood struts, and the coil cover, the Terminator coil covers, which I showed off in the last stream. I put all that stuff on, but there's still more things under the hood that I want to do. How many degrees of timing? That is something that Pete does not release. He doesn't tell people what he does for timing on these Cobra tunes. It's something that he I have no issues with how Pete tunes and what he does with them, but he does things that other people do not do. And I feel as though if he put his timing numbers out, people would probably start to criticize him. He has a lot of high horsepower Cobras running around the New England area that run perfectly fine. No one's complaining about problems with the tunes or them blowing up. He tunes them very safe, but he just doesn't release the timing numbers. I could do a data log and get that information if I really want to. Maybe he'll tell me at some point. Maybe Aaron knows. I'll ask him. But as far as I know, Pete doesn't release the numbers for the timing. Yeah, it was. I pretty much maxed out what 93 octane can do. He had, when he backed it down from 700, it started to lean out, and it was a little more than he was comfortable with letting it leave the shop with, as far as where the timing was. And he told Aaron, who is Pete's the tuner, and Aaron is the person that did the install of the Gen 3 and the fuel system on the car. He told Aaron that I might have to run a Torco tune just to drive the car because it was making so much boost and it was making so much power. But he threw a friggin' ton of timing at it to bring it down, to numb it down up top. So that's why it's at the 676 and not running at 700, because I maxed out what I can do on 93. I'm thinking now that I'm so close to 700, I want the Vmp license plate frame that says 700 Club. Technically, it hits 700. I don't have dyno sheet proof of it. That's why I'm thinking of going back in the fall, keeping the same pulley on it, not changing anything, just dumping in Torco and letting the timing, crank that up and see what it will do. It should break 700 pretty easy with Torco. And if I do it in the fall, if I do it next month in October when it really starts to cool down, I suspect that this is what really has me really confused about the car right now, is that the other guy that went there this spring that pulled 707 on a Torco tune with long tubes, I don't have long tubes on mine, and he pulls 707. If I throw Torco into mine, I'm going to be equal to what his was with long tubes. So it makes me wonder, do I just have a really strong Cobra engine in this thing? Was my engine not made on a Monday? Maybe it was done on a Wednesday, maybe not done on a Friday. I'm not saying it's a factory freak, but it's put out some good numbers every time it's been on the dyno. And people have said that Pete's dyno is a happy dyno, but it's not. It's really not, because when I was talking to Aaron, Aaron has some nasty cars. He has 1,000 horsepower Sonic Blue Terminator. It's getting a different engine put in right now. But he has some very, very stout high horsepower automobiles. He has 1,000 horsepower Corvette, 1,000 horsepower Terminator. He's had cars dynoed on Pete's dyno and gone to other places, and it pulled way different numbers on the other dynos. And which goes to show that Pete's dyno is not happy. His dyno is spot on. I'm not going to say spot on, but it's accurate. Pete's dyno is accurate. The reason why the Terminator Cobra numbers that he does that come out so much better is because of how he tunes these cars. People don't take that into consideration. People always want to compare numbers when it comes to basically the mods, and say you have this for mods, so you're going to make this for power. They never account for the weather, and they never account for who's tuning the car. there's a big difference in who's tuning it and what they do with that tune. So that's why Pete's numbers come out better. It's not because his dyno's happy. It's because he does a really good job on these Cobras. Here's close to the edge. I would use a small splash of torque or boosting with each tank. I've thought about that, just putting in Torco just to be safe, but I'm pretty confident that Pete has a lot of timing being put in the higher RPMs on that. I'm going to go back to Aaron's shop on Friday to try to resolve that throttle cable issue that it has, and I'm going to talk to him about if he can get it out of Pete, what it's got for timing up top. I'm not opposed to throwing Torco in it and just to be on the safe side, but I'm pretty sure Pete doesn't have cars leave his dyno that are in danger of potential problems with the tune. Have you done a small pull? Yeah, I did on the way home. Trying to describe it is really tough because I remember how the car was when it was at 500, when it was at 483 at the wheels, and it's so hard to explain. It's like I got onto it getting on an on ramp. It wasn't the interstate, but it was like it was a two-way highway that had an on ramp, and I got on it pretty hard, and it wanted to pull and pull and pull, and you're going like 80, 90, 100 before you even know it. Before, it would hit 100 pretty quick at 483. Now it hits 100, and I have to watch my tack more than I watch the speedometer because it revs so quick now that I don't want to bury the needle in the 7,000 RPM range. I really have to watch the tack because it just buries the tack so quick. It's so much friggin' power. The name escapes me at the moment, but the guy that gave the MG channel his porta blower only made 621 on his Gen 3R. I wonder if he's on a Hurt motor and doesn't know it. Yeah, I assume the guy that gave him that blower is also from Florida or somewhere close to there. I believe, I'm not sure MG's channel, I'm not sure of his actual name, but he has very similar setup to what mine did when I had the Eaton on it with a smaller pulley. And he pulled 400 and I want to say 450, 460, where mine was pulling 480. The difference of that is Florida versus New England. I had mine done in September of last fall with a pulley on the Eaton when it pulled 483. He's down in Florida where it's humid 12 months out of the year. You really never get good dyno weather in Florida. And the other part of it too is the guy tuning it. A lot of people will tune these Cobras the same way that you tune everything else, and you really can't. Pete's told me things that I don't want to repeat, not because it's like some big secret that I'm keeping to myself. It's because I don't want to try to explain it in a way that is inaccurate from the way that he told me. But the way that he does these tunes is a lot different than how other people do it, it's just he has his own custom way of doing it, and it shows with the numbers. Set 676 is insane. Yeah. It's going to, and the other thing too is I'm wondering if it's going to be even more snappy with a better throttle cable on it, because right now the throttle cable is sloppy. I can feel it in the pedal. It's very touchy down low. When I hit the throttle, it definitely goes, and it goes hard, but you can tell there's something is not right, and it's because that throttle cable has so much slack in it. I have a feeling when we replace that, hopefully Friday, hopefully that part comes in Friday and I can get it put on then. If not, it's going to be Monday because I took Friday off from work and I worked Saturday, Sunday. I told Aaron I would come by the shop Friday if it comes in, and if not, we'll do it on Monday. But I have a feeling that when that throttle cable is on there, it's probably going to snap much harder than it does right now. How is the weather for the dyno? It was actually really good. It was done on Labor Day on Monday, and I can't remember the exact temperature, but it wasn't a humid day. It was fairly cool out, and I believe it was in the 70s. So it was really good weather for it. I was concerned with getting it dynoed because I knew that as everything got delayed and pushed back more and more with all the problems that I had, that it was going to get dynoed sometime in like late July or early August. And when even up here it gets really humid, it can be really humid during those times of the year. And I was really worried that it was going to get dynoed on a day that it was like 95 degrees out and 90% humidity or something like that, and just put up crap numbers because of it. But I think the same situation you had when you had your Cobra done at Pete's, my car sat there for 2 weeks. It was pulled on the dyno completely cold. And another thing I need to tell everyone while I'm thinking of it so I don't forget, I'll get to the rest of the comments too. This was the second time it was on the dyno. It was done a week and a half before that. It was on the dyno. The car was halfway tuned. The only thing he had left to do was the wide open throttle pulls, and it was done. And something happened with the alternator pulley. It bent, and I couldn't wrap my head around how could the alternator pulley bend. What happened was the KMJ alternator, the Titan alternator, is off the car once again. It's been like the biggest problem with the car is that damn friggin' alternator. I've been having so many problems with it. It's not KMJ specifically. It's just something cursed with this particular alternator that I got. The threads where the pulley goes on and the nut goes on, the threads got screwed up on that. It got cross-threaded or something happened. So the pulley ended up twisting, which coursed through my belt, shredded my belt for the second time. Second time it's had a brand new belt on that completely disintegrated. I actually found pieces of my Gates green belt in the parking lot when I got to the dyno today. And so Aaron took that off. He went over to Pete's dyno a few days later, brought my stock alternator back over, put that back on. And so right now it's got the regular crappy stock Cobra alternator on it, but it runs, it's okay. I'm not having problems with it, but that's something that's being addressed in the wintertime when it goes back to Aaron's shop again to have more stuff done. I'll have him put that KMJ back on. He retapped the threads on it, so it will work now. But we were just so under the gun to get the rest of the tune done that I didn't want to bother with swapping alternators again, which would have required another different size belt because the pulley size is different and everything else. So I'm fine with the alternator on it for now. But seeing Justin SVT and now you pulling good on pump gas numbers makes me now think that Vmp compete with a Crusher 2.9 Whipples. I haven't got a lot of pushback from Whipple people with this yet, and I posted these numbers on the Gen3R Facebook group. Hold on one second. I want to need to finish an Instagram post for the dyno numbers. Yeah, I don't think going with a Whipple 2.9 would have made things better or worse. I think the Whipple 2.9 is an amazing blower. I think the Whipple 2.3 is an amazing blower. What the thing is that Vmp gets a lot of heat. Vmp is said to not pull good numbers. Vmp is said to not make as much power as a Whipple. I don't see a Whipple 2.9 crusher or non-crusher putting up significantly better numbers than what I put up with the Vmp Gen3R with that 5-inch intake on there with the single blade throttle body. What more can you ask for to hit 700 on pump gas? I mean, I'm sure I would have had to have been pulled back with timing too, even with the Whipple. So, you know, I don't get the whole blower wars thing. Instead of everyone fighting over who's better between Whipple and Vmp, why not just be happy that we have two companies that are still making blowers and improvements on a 17 and 18-year-old platform car? They could have abandoned this car years ago, saying the Whipple 2.3, the Vmp 2.3, and the Kenny Bell 2.2 are as good as you're going to get. And that's where we are with that car, where the most you're going to get out of it is the efficiency range of those blowers. But we're not there. We're in the category now of 800, 900, 1,000 plus because of the advancement that Whipple and Vmp have done with these blowers. They continue to do. Will Whipple have any? I mean, you have the Whipple 3.0, and they have there's another. I think it's a 3.4. I may not be right on that, but don't blast me if I'm wrong on it. But those are like big blowers. But those are what I see as like drag racing purposes. I wouldn't want to run around on the street with a Whipple 3.4. That's insane. People do it. That's great. That's cool. But it's not what I want to do. I want to be in the 2.6, 2.9 blower range. And that's why I was back and forth between Whipple and Vmp, because, you know, they're both good and it's both good options. But when I bought this Cobra, always had the intention of not keeping it stock. And the very not first thing I want to do, with a big major thing that I want to do in the car was to put a Vmp on it. And I was going to do the 2.3. I was looking for them. They were for sale. I was going to buy one, but the prices on them were just so friggin' high. I can't justify the price of a used 2.3 compared to what I bought a 2.6 for out of the box brand new. It just didn't make any sense to do that. So that's why I went with a bigger blower, and the numbers that I put down, I'm glad I went with the 2.6. Holy moly, I made a good estimate. Yeah. I can't remember where it was. I think it was, I have so many comments left either on the last video that I did. It may have been the last video when I did about the shipping. Someone made a comment, they said 700. And I'm like, well, technically you're right. They hit it right on the head. So technically it did do the 700, but I can't run it around at 700. So it's obviously has some lethal venom. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have noticed yet. I haven't done a lot of videos on the car, but it does have a Vanity plate on it now. It says lethal venom, LTHLVNM, lethal venom abbreviated. And I actually had that plate put on the car probably like a couple of weeks before it went to DRK Performance for everything to get done on the car. And it's like, that plate before on the car, it would hold its own with a lot of stuff on the road, but there's a lot of things out there that will take down 480 horsepower. But when you're pushing the upper edge of 700, there's not that group of cars that will take it on. It just got a lot smaller. I did a post on my personal Facebook page before I released the numbers. It was a couple of days ago, and I didn't release the dyno numbers yet, but I said HELLCATS are no longer a concern, and they're not. A red eye or the demon, that's a whole other story. Those are like high 700s, high in the 800 range. But a stock HELLCAT with 717 at the motor, so it's probably pulling maybe mid 600s, maybe below 650 at the wheels, It depends on what the drivetrain loss is on that transmission. But it's the fact that those cars are 4,400 pounds and I'm at 3,600 pounds. This thing would absolutely eat a Hellcat 7 days out of the week and twice on Sunday. It would, I don't know, there's not a lot of Hellcats. There's a lot of Chargers running around here. I see Chargers all the time. My friend that I've had for a long time that I work with, he has a Charger RT. And ever since he bought that stupid thing, I've been seeing Chargers all the friggin' time. And it's like, I just can't avoid them. But I don't see very many Hellcats, but I would love to run a Hellcat right now. So that's something that hopefully happens. I don't know if it'll happen before it's up before the winter or not, but yes, thank you, Mike. It made all the headaches that I went through, the 107 days from, it went into the shop 7 days after Memorial Day. I got it back 2 days after Labor Day. It was gone the whole summer, but the end result was worth it. And even though my time with it for the rest of this year is short, I'm hoping that I can steal November. I'm hoping that we have a really good November. Last year, I put it up November 7th, and it was a 70-degree day that day. But I'd had the car since August at that point, and I was okay with putting it up because I knew the cold weather was coming. But now I am going to drive this thing until the day before it snows. Once it does snow, it's done because they start throwing down salt and sand and all kinds of crap on the roads, and I'm not taking it out again until the spring and after it's rained a bunch and washed all the roads off, and then I'll take it out. But is this stream getting recorded? I want to watch it later. Yes, it will be on the YouTube channel. You can go back and watch it, pick up wherever you left off. I wasn't sure if these would record to YouTube, but they do. All the live streams that I do will be recorded. So if you guys have to take off but you want to see the whole thing, the last stream was 2 hours and 20 minutes. I would prefer not to do 2 hour streams. But it all depends. If you guys are here and making conversation and keeping the comments going and it's flowing well, then I'll stay on. But I really don't want to make people feel as though they have to watch a 2 hour stream just to get everything that I went over. You can always skip to whatever part the dyno results and all that's too. So do meth injection better than torque or boosting? Yeah, I mean, I could. I think the thing is, most likely scenario that I'm going to do is just run it on the 93 tune, and the Torco tune will just be to pump out a 700 plus rear wheel horsepower dyno sheet to put on the car at shows and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, I don't believe Pete is going to have any Cobras leave his shop that are in danger of blowing up because of not enough timing up top and running lean and blowing head gaskets and stuff like that. He's literally tuned hundreds of these Cobras. And if you live anywhere near the Northeast and you do a post on social media saying, I want to have my 0304 Cobra tuned, where do I go? Absolutely everybody will say Performance Dyno. And that's because of the reputation that he has, and cars do not leave his shop and blow up. And that's just a testament to how well he tunes them. So I think ultimately I will do a Boostang tune, hopefully in October when the weather is really good. And I want to get that 700, and I'll put that with the car for car shows and stuff like that. But I'm just going to run around with the 93 tune for most of the time. Quarter bottle per tank is all you'll need as insurance. Yeah, that's the other thing too. You can never be too careful. Just that little bit extra will definitely help. And that was the other reason too why I went with a return fuel system. I probably could have done pumps and gone different route basically for less money. But I knew with the return system, it was just the right way to do it because it gave me room to grow. Because I wasn't sure if this was going to be the end with the power with it or not. I know that right now the R888Rs are not good enough. It held it at 500. It does not hold it at the upper end of 600. Today was the first time where I hammered on the car really hard and had wheel hop. I could feel the wheel hop in the back. And the first thing that entered my mind was a half shaft snapping in half on that thing. So the bushings in the IRS are going to get done in the off season. It didn't wheel hop before because I think the tires stuck and it held it. But with this much torque, I'd have to go back to the dyno sheet. Let me pull the dyno sheet up again. Whoops. If you go back to the dyno sheet, let me make this a little bit smaller here. Look at the torque. It's making over 500 foot-pounds of torque at 3,000 RPMs. And I'm at over 600 foot-pounds of torque at 3,500. That's just too much for those R888Rs to handle. And when it started hopping today, I let off it a little bit because I know the half shafts will snap. My friend with his 2.3 Whipple snapped his half shafts last summer. I'm well beyond the range of what those half shafts will handle. So it's me, MMR sales rep from your server. Bad news, my uncle's Cobra is down right now. Sean from AED said the motor's hurt. It was oil in the throttle body and supercharger, and that sucks. That really, really sucks. Sorry to hear that. Did you have another name before? Because anytime someone joins a server, I put the member role on them so that I know anyone new jumps in, they don't have the member role, then I know that they're new. But you had a member role on your name already. So I'm thinking you were like taking a little jab at me over the problems I had with the MMR crap of mine. Cobra's falling left and right. Yeah, it's unfortunate when they go down. How much did it make? It made 676 at the wheels and 640 torque. The first pull was 700, and they backed it down because it was at the limit of my 93 tune or 93 octane, what it will handle. Yep, 676. What pulley? It's the 3.3. It's the largest pulley that I can put on that car. It was said to make 18 pounds according to Vmp, which is where I wanted to be at 18 pounds. It made 19.4. So said 3.0. No, it's a 3.3. The 3.0 would probably put me at like 22, 23 pounds maybe. When Daniel, I had his Cobra done at Performance Dyno with the long tubes and the Torco tune, he had a 3.1 and he made 21 pounds, but I made 19 and a half with a 3.3. So, but it's just weird. Maybe he's going to make less boost anyway because of the long tubes. So that's the other factor too. What clutch are you running? The stall clutch. That's a problem. It's a big problem because it's going to get annihilated probably by the end of the summer. It held today. It held on the way home. I did some hard pulls on it today. It's okay right now. that clutch is not meant to handle that much torque. So I want to put an RXT in it. That's the plan. The unknown right now is debating whether to do the 10 spline RXT or the 26 spline RXT, because I would like to build the T56. I talked to Aaron about that today. He said he can rebuild the T56 to make it as strong as a Magnum with less money involved. The overall cost would be about the same, but you don't need the transmission brace, the adjustable one. You don't need one of those. You don't need to shorten the drive shaft. There was another thing too that the Magnum required you to do where the built T56 doesn't. So I think I'm going to go that route. I think I'm going to have the T56 built and do 20. Of course, would have the 26 spline input shaft at that point, and do the RXT with a 26. Can't run anything under 31 without a cam. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I haven't looked into at what point I should really do cams, or even if I want to do cams. It goes back to the video that I did last summer where I said I don't want a 750 horsepower Cobra because you're just going to fight traction all the time. And I think I missed some chats. I did. Stock IRS bushings. Yeah, they're stock. When I bought the car, I was told that they were FTBRs. They're not. I got it underneath the car, put it up on jack stands after I got it, and I looked. They're either 100% completely trashed FTBR bushings or they're stock. I took pictures, sent them off to FTBR. They got back to me and they said they didn't look like their bushings. They look stock. So I think that they probably took it to a shop and they said they did it, and they probably didn't. So I know that the previous owner, they did some of the work on the car, but not a lot of it. So how'd the crossover delete work out? It didn't. It's got the OEM coolant crossover tube on it now. The MMR one leaked three times. I'm going to buy a On3 Performance crossover delete and get that put on over the wintertime. I didn't want to have to order one and wait for it to come in. So I told Aaron, bang the coolant crossover tube, the stock one, put it back on, and we'll go from there. It will be okay for now. But long term, I don't want to run that. I want to run the coolant crossover because it's a pretty good sized dent in that tube. I was looking at it today. That VMP is wide as hell. And that's the only downfall with that VMP versus the Whipple is you have to bang that stupid crossover tube. But I'm going to go with the delete one anyway. So not sure what. It must have been a comment to someone else. Yeah. And I went through that one already. What do you say? We were stock? Yes, it is the stock lower. Still the 7-inch friggin' wide pulley on there on the bottom. I don't have any plans of changing the lower. I do want to replace it, but I'm probably going to do the I can't remember who made it. I keep saying MMR. There was a company that makes those lower cage ones. And I do want to put that on there just because it's still the OEM one from 17 years ago. The bushings are probably going to fail at some point, start to work themselves out. I would rather just put an aftermarket one on that's the same size, and just any adjustments that I do with the boost, I'm just going to have it done with the upper pulley. Is that VMP? Hey man, I might get in here. Nice numbers. You got me a bit on torque. Yeah. Pete's dyno will read high on torque. That's something he's very open about. It's just something to do with how it's calibrated with the torque. It reads a little bit high on torque. So it may have pulled technically a little bit less than 640 for torque, but when you get on the thing, can you really tell the difference between 615 and 600 and, well, like 620 and 640 torque? Probably not. I mean, all of it's fast, so it doesn't really matter what the actual torque is. It's over 600 and it's a lot and you feel it. So long tubes make a big difference from what I heard on the Cobras. It's not that much big power. Aaron told me that it will pull about 40 more horsepower with the long tubes on it. I just don't know if I can justify it for the price. If I were to do long tubes, I would do the AHR long tubes with their catted X pipe. It's like a $1,700 setup. I don't know if I want to spend $1,700 for 40 horsepower when I can just put in a Torco tune in R to be over 700. Then I have to worry about scraping the long tubes and stuff like that. So it's something I haven't ruled out, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. Long tubes, lower boost, you can pulley down and make power. Yeah, that's true. That's why I think when Daniel's car was dynoed at Pete's shop with the same setup that I have, he was at 21 pounds with a 30.1 pulley, and I was at 19 pounds with a 3.3. It was because he had long tubes. If he didn't have long tubes, he probably would have been a pound or two more than what he was at. They also make you lose torque. I'm not sure how it goes with the torque with these particular motors with the long tubes. I always heard that long tubes would give you a buttload of torque, but not that much horsepower. But I haven't looked into it a whole lot for exactly what it will do with these particular engines. Yeah, Metco, that was the lower pulley that I'm probably going to replace at some point. Maybe that'll be something to do in the off season when it goes back to the shop for some more stuff to get done. That stock lower it's 17 years old. Those bushings are probably on their way out. I know some of you guys are probably familiar with Intervention 302, Kevin's Sonic Blue 03 Cobra. He pulled 933 with an Ignite 90 tune on Pete's dyno. He just replaced his bushings on his lower, and I believe his has less mileage than mine. So I'm all about preventative maintenance on this thing. That's why one of the first things I did was get the billet flow idler kit, because I didn't want to blow up an idler because has years on it, has mileage on it, and I put the smaller pulley on the Eaton, which was going to spin everything a lot quicker, which is when those are known for blowing up, basically. And I just didn't want that to happen, so I went out and did the billet flow kit early on. Hey man, what's the suspension mods you have on the Cobra? Debating between doing coilovers versus just getting new Bustines. Thanks. I got the car with coilovers, but they absolutely suck. The reason for that is the car was built as a road race car. It was raced at Sebring, and because of that, it has a lot of road race suspension and mods on it. It's got the Brembos on it. It's got Maximum Motorsports Race 3 coilovers on all four corners, and you feel every single bump that you hit, and it sucks. I want this to be a good driving street car. I'm not building it to drag race. I did that with my 94 Cobra. I'm not going down that road again with shit suspension. So what I have, I showed it off in the last live stream. I have regular shock and spring setup that's going back on the car. I'm done messing with coilovers and all that crap. I'm not saying they're bad or anything. With the right type of coilovers, it will handle extremely well and ride very well. Just the coilovers that I have are not set up for that at all. I got the Coney. They're right here, actually. They're in the box, but they're the Coney adjustables. And I got H&R springs to go on it too. So that's going to be my suspension setup moving forward. I just wanted something that was going to ride nice. And we see your car is tuned at the same place as Intervention 302. Yep, same place. Pretty much. I'm not sure where Kevin lives. He's somewhere in New Hampshire, but I'm not sure where exactly. But he's been there a bunch. I've been to Pete's Dyno quite a bit. A lot of Cobras go there in this area, so, and a lot of Cobras not in this area go there too. I've had two people from New York that, after talking to me, that watched the channel after talking to me, that went to Pete for that reason, because I just said it's worth it. You know, it's going to come out right. You're not going to have to worry about anything. So it's Kevin's car is nuts though. I don't want to get into doing cams and running crazy freaking setups. I just feel as though it gets to the point of potentially more things going wrong. As the car sits now on the border of the 700 mark, it's just a good spot to be. If you build one of these cars and you're in the middle 600 to 700 range, it's a really good spot to be in. You start pushing that 750, 800, you start getting into more issues and more problems that can come up, not because of the motor being able to handle it, because it will handle a lot, but it's the issue of just all the supporting stuff to go with it that has to support that. So I think I'm pretty good with where it's at, other than doing the Torco tune, which, you know, I want that 700 dyno sheet. Also, props for getting the bill of flow idlers. I had a stock idle blow up on me, and it sucked. Yeah, and actually, I don't know if some of you guys may also watch Kyle SVT. His idler blew up on him. I believe it was last summer, and they actually blow up. They'll, you know, completely friggin' peel like a friggin' banana. And when I took mine off, I put it in my hand and, you know, spun it like that, and it's gritty. You can feel that thing had seen better days. I really didn't want to be running around, and like I said before, this was a road race car. It was raced hard at Sebring. She was not. Everyone, you know, has their opinions about female drivers, but I saw videos of this car running at Sebring, and she hammered on that thing. And so I'm pretty sure those idlers had their fair share of abuse over the years. So they just needed to go. And I just, for the money invested on an idler kit versus blowing up a pulley and having to replace it anyway, because you don't get to pick where it blows up. Not like it's going to blow up pulling into your driveway. You're probably going to be somewhere far away from home, and that's just how it goes. So I would rather not have to deal with that. I couldn't be happier how Pete tuned my car. Yeah, you know, he's one of the people from New York that I talked to about going down and having Pete tune his car, and it was a long, long drive for him to get there. He had the car towed down, but it's a big friggin' endeavor to go from New York to southern New Hampshire. And for the amount of time it took Pete to do it, I mean, you were on the dyno for, it took Pete longer to strap the car down on the dyno than it did to do the tune on the car. And 2 pulls done. He's done hundreds and hundreds of these Eaton pulley Cobra tunes. It's like a walk in the park for him. He knows how to do it. It's the same thing when he did mine with the Eaton. 2 pulls done. That was it. And but when I came to lights today, driving home, came to a stop sign, came to lights, put the car in neutral, let it idle. It idles so good. It's like if you were to get in this car and listen to it idle and how it runs, you would think it's completely stock. You would have no idea what's done underneath that hood and what it's putting off of power. It just has it has this drivability manners of being completely stock until you get on the pedal, and then it's a little bit different story. Yeah, I'm with you. I'll probably do head studs, but that's as far as I'm going. That's the thing too. You start getting into the bigger boost numbers, head studs, the proper fuel to support those boost numbers. It's just a lot more to deal with. You start getting into those big numbers like that, and it's like I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into pulling the heads. I mean, if the heads ever come off the car for like to be freshened up a little bit, maybe I would have studs put on just because. But it's one of those things that I'll get to, when I eventually get to that point. But I mean, the car has 79,000 on it now. It might eventually need to have some work done on the heads just to get them in better shape again. Have you upgraded your alternator? It's had a KMJ alternator on it twice. Short story, because I've already covered it twice before. I shredded the belt when it was first put on, because when we installed the alternator, we didn't clearance the upper bracket enough, so the alternator was tweaked just a little bit. Shredded my belt, and I took the KMJ off, put my stock one back on, because when doing that, I could keep the same size belt before it went off to the shop to get the Vmp put on. I didn't want to mess with having to put on a different belt just to have a different belt put on when the Vmp was on. It would have been a complete waste of money. So I put the stock one back on, and then when it was on the dyno, something was messed up with the threads where the pulley goes on, and it bent the pulley and shredded the belt again. So now the KMJ is off the car once again, and the stock one is back on. But ultimately, the KMJ is going to go on. All the issues with that have been resolved. The threads have been retapped where the pulley goes on, so that will be going back on in the off season. Yeah, I totally get what you mean about wanting the car to be a nice ride, especially for the street. Definitely interested to see how those cone adjustables work out. Yeah, the thing that's really sucks with getting them put on, though, is they're going to get put on during the wintertime. I already told myself that the car has been gone 107 days as of today. I am not taking any time to be out in the garage working on the car for the day on a nice day with the very little time that I have left. So I told Aaron, when I bring it back in, I'll have him do the suspension too. The downside to that is that's going to be done during the wintertime. So I'm not even going to be able to see what the car is like until the springtime, because he has a friend that does towing for him that does a lot of lowered cars. The guy's very careful. The car was taken from Aaron's shop down to the dyno on that carrier service. And he said that he would already come to my house, pick the car up in the wintertime, take it to Aaron's shop, whatever needs to be done, and bring the car back. So it costs money, obviously, but it's better for me than taking the car into the shop again in the springtime and having it take time away. I've already had the car. It will be going on year 2 for next year. It'll be year 2 in August. This was year 1. I've had the car 1 year as of August 13th. I've driven the car from August to November last year, a couple of weeks in May this year, and end of March, April, May, and I got it back today. Those are the months that I've had with the car since I've had it a year. I really don't want it in the shop long term anymore. So what I can do during the winter time. Hi, Travis, coming in late. Thanks for stopping in, Paul. Glad you could stop in. If you didn't get the numbers, they're in the chat too. If you don't want to scroll up, just let me know. I'll spit the numbers out, but it made a lot more I was expecting. I'm leaving the heads on. It's not fun, but easier than pulling the head. Yeah. I wanted to do more work on this car on my own. I'm capable of doing a lot of it, but even today, when I was putting the hood struts on, doing the coil covers, I don't know what it is. I've never hurt my back. Every time I've bent over the side of it doing stuff on the car, my back just starts freaking screaming at me. I don't know why. Like I don't have back pain. I don't walk around with back pain. I've never pulled anything in my back other than like one time a couple of years ago. But this goes back like years. Every time I'm like bent over the hood of a car doing stuff, it friggin' hurts and it just sucks. And I'm not trying to throw out income or money or stuff like that, but I have the means to have people do stuff on the car. I'm going to have them do it. I've done a lot of work on my 94 Cobra, and I'm just at the point now where it's like I would rather just put it in someone's hands that's trustworthy, capable, and that's just the way I see it from my perspective right now. Yeah, I enjoy it. We want to see some pulls on the GoPro. I was really tempted to I was going to do some video today. I didn't film anything today on the ride home. It was really hard. It was, the first time with the car, I really wanted to concentrate just on the car, listening for anything going wrong. It just didn't quite feel right to start recording, even though I really wanted like my first initial impressions with the pulls. My friend came down with me today because he had to drive my other vehicle back. And I, of course, brought him back home after we came back here. And I did some pulls, and he was like, this thing is retarded. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm actually, I took this Friday off from work, and I'm getting new tires put on at the Ford dealership. So when I go to Ford, I'll probably do a video. Pretty much every time I'm in the Cobra, while I still have it out this year, I have to film something. I have close to 20 video ideas in my head that I want to film. The problem isn't having enough content for the channel. The problem is having enough time to film it all, because I'm limited by how long I can drive the car. I guess I could always film something in the garage, even though it's wintertime, but I'm going to try and get as much filmed as I can while I'm still driving it. Nice numbers, and I love what you've done with the engine bay. Yeah, and there's more coming. The powder coating stuff isn't done. There's more that I want to do underneath the engine bay for the powder coating. There's more dress up stuff that I want to do. It's a long list of stuff. That was always the thing I disliked about the Cobra the most. You see all these Cobras in Facebook groups and other YouTube channels. You pop the hood and it's just this beautiful engine bay, and mine never looked like that. It was driven and it was used, and with that comes wear and tear. And my valve covers, I never showed like real close-up pictures of the valve covers. They were trashed. They looked like they were, I'm not sure what the coating is on the valve covers, but that was peeling off the front of the valve covers. Up by the lower intake, where you can look down by the side of the blower on the lower intake, it was just all looked like garbage. I'll get video of like close up of what it looks like now. The lower intake is powder coated, wrinkle black. The pulley bridge is wrinkle black. The valve covers are wrinkle red. And there's more stuff that I'm going to do under it because I just want it to look better. I can't reverse the mileage and the age. There's just some stuff I'm not going to be able to really correct with the car, short of pulling the engine bay out and like power washing the entire engine bay and stuff like that. But I'm going to do what I can. I want it to be like a show and street car, basically. And still here, excellent numbers. Yeah, I was happy. I was happy at 650. If Aaron called me and said, "Hey, Pete's done with your car. It made 650," I would have been like, "Awesome. That's what I was hoping for. That was my goal." Then when he told me it spit upper end of 600, a little more than I was expecting. I'm driving mine right now with the AC. It's about 70%. Yeah. I did turn the AC on mine today. I don't really use it a whole lot, but I do what I can every once in a while just to run it because I don't want the lines to get. Because I knew when it was in Florida, the AC was used pretty much all the time, and I hardly ever used it up here. But I do want to run it every once in a while just to keep the lines from drying out and stuff like that. That's crazy. The car was gone for that long, man. How are you liking the Vmp Gen3R so far? That's the video I'm going to do on Friday when I take it to Ford to get the tires done. I'm going to basically just my overall thoughts. I mean, obviously, everyone here, it's not going to be anything groundbreaking. If you guys watch the video, I'm very happy with it. For that to put out that much power on pump 93 on with the VMPs that don't make power and Whipple the world, it made 700 on pump. There's nothing to complain about with that. So, and you get your die-hard Whipple guys and your die-hard VMP guys, and I have nothing against the Whipple the world people, and I have nothing against Whipple. It's just not what I wanted on mine. I just like the looks of the VMP. It looks like that blower was meant to be on that car. It just looks really good in my opinion. Other people will say the Whipples look better, and I'm okay with that. I'm not here to convince everyone to go get a VMP. If you have a Whipple or you want to put a Whipple on, by all means put a Whipple on it, or even do a Kenny Bell. One thing I'll say with the VMP, it still screams. It screams pretty loud, but it does not scream as loud as a pulleyed Eaton or a ported pulleyed Eaton. I went by my friend Dylan, who went with me today. I passed him one time and he was filming on his phone. And when we got back here, he's like, that thing friggin' screams. And he was talking about the blower. And it does. I still hear it. It definitely winds up and winds, but not quite like the Eaton did. I'm actually, at some point, I'm going to do a pulleyed Eaton versus VMP blower wind video. I'll film that. I'm just going to rip off my old footage that I have from other videos with the Eaton and compare that to what I have now. Hopefully, my clutch will survive long enough to film that video. And that's the other thing too that I'm really worried about. Is there's so many people that want rides now, tons of people from work, other people that are friends out of work that all want rides in this. I have to give all these people rides, have to do videos on the VMP blower line. I'm not sure if my clutch is going to survive that long. It's like I want to take people for rides and have them feel that power it has now. But at the same time, it's like every time I get on it now, I'm just thinking, is this the one time where the tack is going to do that on me and then the clutch is done? I could probably still drive it around, but I'm worried too about the clutch completely disintegrating and then you're completely screwed. This my 94 Cobra, I lost the clutch in that. It had a center force dual friction, and it did that with the RPMs where you get on it and the RPMs would just crank all the way to the other end because it wasn't holding. If it starts doing that, I can still drive. I just can't get on it. But if I really do damage to the clutch, which at this power level, it very well could happen, I don't want to have the car back finally after being gone this long. I drive it for 2 weeks, then have something happen. So I'm like, I think if I give people rides, I'll get into it, but I'm not gonna like really hammer on it. So I would like the clutch to hopefully survive until I'm done with it for the summer. That would be ideal. I'm in Vegas. You guys are killing not using your AC. Yeah, I was in Vegas. It'll be, I think we went out in 2016 is when I went out. I went out to Vegas, Utah, Arizona, did like a big trip out west, and it was a lot of fun. My ultimate goal after I retire is to move out west. I really liked it. I like the weather. I've lived in Maine my entire life, and I'm so sick of winter. People that don't deal with snow or have never been around snow, Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah, it's so pretty until you have to snow blow it and shovel it, and it gets in your boots and down your friggin' jacket when you're snow blowing. It's a massive pain in the ass. If I can retire and move out west and never pick up a snow shovel again, I'm completely fine with that. So I think that's like the end goal down the road, unless there's something really holding me to keep me here in this state. But um, I hate winter. I absolutely despise it. And everyone's like, why don't you just move? It's like I've been in my job for going on 19 years. I just can't leave. I have a lot of time invested, and it's a good retirement, and it's working for the state. It's a lot to give up just because I don't like snow. So I'm just going to stay where I am until then. I threw in a big Termy meet in a couple of months out here. Yeah, I was unfortunately had to cancel the Terminator meet that I had planned to do in New York. I wanted to try and get a lot of the Northeast Cobras together, either Terminators or any other Cobras or any other Mustangs that wanted to come. It was a plan for that to happen next weekend was the original date, but because my car got delayed for so long, I just really needed time with the car to make sure it was okay. It's not because of any speculation that something's going to go wrong because of DRK Performance. They do outstanding work. Aaron's an amazing mechanic. He's built many Cobras and many of his own that make retarded horsepower. It's not that aspect. It's the fact that a lot was done to the car. What if a fitting for the fuel system comes loose? Just you never know. It's a long trip to make out there on 1 week with the car, and that's why I had to push it back. And I could have extended the date out a little bit further, but I think I'll be in a better spot to do it for next year. I'll have a better clutch in there, or I won't have to worry about the clutch. You know, what if the clutch goes out? What if I put the New York meetup in October and I smoke my clutch by the end of September? Then I have to cancel it again. So it was just better off. And I don't know how many of you have ridden in cars with all-out road race suspension, with coilovers, with Road Race 3 Maximum Motorsports coilovers. It rides really, really hard. To take a trip out to New York with that car right now would absolutely suck. My plan was to get the car back, put the suspension in, and make the trip out there. But because got the car back so late, I don't want to take any time working on the car with the time that I have left at home. I want to be out driving it. I need time to film all these videos that I have planned, which isn't going to get done if it's in my garage replacing the entire suspension. And then there's the other factor too of what if something goes wrong. It's a fairly simple process doing the suspension stuff. I did it on my 94 Cobra, but there's been so much that's gone wrong with this whole process. I'm just good with keeping it the way it is right now and not messing up the stuff and something going wrong with the time that I have left with it. You should film your videos first and give everyone rides. Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I had the time to just film. I mean, I can, if you guys see videos like in the next several weeks and I have like the same shirt on and like videos back to back, it's not because I wear the same shirt every day. It's because I film 2 or 3 videos in the same day, and I'm not going to drive around and change my shirt just for the video. So, but I'm probably going to try and do 2 or 3 videos when I have the car out. I try to keep everything like around 10 minutes if I can. And sometimes I go over that a little bit. It's really hard trying to talk about stuff about a subject and say everything that you want to say about it and get it all out in a matter of 10 minutes is really tough because you want the video to be informative but you don't want it to drag on forever. You want to make your points, but you don't want the video to be 20 minutes long. So you have to really framework the way you want to say things to try to keep it within that, around that 10-minute mark. Like 10, 12 minutes I'm okay with. When I start getting close to 15, that's when I really don't like pushing videos past that. The exception was the 2000 Cobra R video that I did with my friend's car. That was 29 minutes long, but it was 29 minutes with a 2000 Cobra R. I don't think a lot of people are going to complain about that too much. So that's like the exception, doing things like that. Other than that, I try to keep them around 10. Hope your clutch can at least last to the end of the season. That's the plan. Hopefully it does. Time will tell. It's a double-edged sword because I have this car with an absolute shit ton of power now that I want to play around with and enjoy. But at the same time, I know that every time I hammer on this thing, that might be the time that the clutch decides to give up and just let go. Yeah, Whipple or Vmp, you can't go wrong with either. But we all agree that Kenny Bell is back of the line when it comes to Terminators. They seem that no one uses their blowers like back in the day. Yeah, Kenny Bell was the thing. You guys probably all know the snakebite videos on YouTube that came out when the Terminators were new to YouTube and when they first came out. Those Kenny Bell scream so loud, and a lot of people buy those just for that scream, which I don't blame them. It sounds amazing. But Kenny Bell dropped the ball on Terminator Cobra advancement technology. They gave up. I'm not sure how the 2.6 performs compared to the 2.2, but I know that the Kenny Bell 2.6 will not compete with a Vmp 2.6 or a Whipple 2.9. It's just an entirely different ballpark. I don't like the looks of Kenny Bell all that much. The guy that I bought my 94 Cobra from, he now has a Terminator. He has a Kenny Bell on his. I just never liked the looks of him. I'm a very visual person. What the stuff I have, I want it to look nice the way that I see it. And that was the other reason too why I went with the Vmp over the Whipple. I just think it looks a little bit better, in my opinion. Other people will disagree, and that's perfectly fine. We all have different tastes. We all prefer one color Cobra over another. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just really liked how the Vmp looked. But it's just a shame that Kenny Bell dropped the ball. So that's, going back to what I said earlier about the pissing contest people have with Vmp and Whipple. To be thankful we still have blowers supporting this platform this late in its lifespan. It's almost 20 years old since these cars have been out, and Vmp just came out with that Gen3R not too long ago. And I'm not sure if this is the end of the road, if the Vmp Gen3R and the Whipple 2.9 and the Whipple 34 is like the end of the road for the Terminator. This may be as good as we're going to get at this point. Other than maybe going turbo setup or something like that. But you have to be grateful for what we have for these cars and the aftermarket for them, instead of coming after someone for buying one blower over another. I would have been just as happy with the power with the Whipple 2.9, but my choice was the Vmp overall. I agree. Vmp has the best look. Yeah, I mean, they look nice. The only thing that I don't like about the Gen3R is a 2.3, the actual Vmp logo. It was like there's no powder coating on it, so you could really have the Vmp stand out. And the 2.6, they don't do that. The whole case is powder coated, so the Vmp lettering doesn't stand out quite as much as the 2.3 did. But I could always have it removed if I wanted to, but I'm probably not. It's fine. It's okay like that. I'm not going to get too nitpicky. So 2.6 Kenny Bell is good. Just has a different rotor design than the Whipple and Vmp. My favorite is still the Kenny Bell 2.2 and Porter Eaton after that. But I like the sound more than the max power. Yeah, that's like what I said. There are people that buy the Kenny Bell just for the sound, that they're happy that they have a Terminator. They're happy to have an aftermarket blower. Their power number they put out isn't a concern. They just want the thing to scream. And that 2.2, short of a ported and pulley beaten, that 2.2 is the only thing that will scream more. And I heard too that the actual blower whine is like at the point of where you're getting inefficiency with the blower from the way it was explained. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. It could be completely wrong. But despite that, and even knowing that, I still want that whine. That's what these cars are known for. You see these guys that put turbo systems on it, and it's like, it's still a Cobra, it's still a Terminator, but it's like it doesn't whine anymore. And that's, it's like you hear a Cobra that doesn't whine, and it's like, well, is it still 304 Terminator without the whine? Technically, yes, but it loses that little bit of factor with it. Well, we've been going like hour and 20 minutes mostly, hour 26. So I'm going to end this here. Thank you, everyone that stopped in. If you haven't liked the video yet, make sure you do, because it does help out. Any videos that I do, just liking it really does help with the algorithm. The way YouTube works, that goes off interactions with videos. If people comment, even if they dislike, a dislike shows an interaction with a video, and that's what YouTube wants. I'm not saying dislike all my videos, but I'm saying interaction with videos is what really helps to push videos. They are partially correct. It's the gears and the snout than the rotor design. Yeah, I do know that the Kenny Bells do have that different rotor design, which probably leads to a lot of their issues with the inefficiency and the lower power numbers, and maybe that's why they stopped advancement with it, because with that rotor pack design, maybe they just couldn't pull more from it. Maybe that's kind of why it went away. In case someone is looking for a blower, my buddy is selling a 3.0 Gen 5 Whipple. In case anyone is looking for one, that's cool. If you want, you can throw that in any videos too, in a comment. If someone wanted to try to reach out to him, he probably won't have any trouble getting rid of that thing. But those are stout blowers. Those Gen 5 Whipples are nothing to friggin' sneeze at. I mean, they put up big numbers, and they're very, very good blowers. But I think that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. I'll have a video filmed Friday. I don't know if I will put it out Friday. If not, it will probably be Monday. I'll do my overall impressions with the Vmp, and we'll get some blower line in there too. So I'll have a little fun with it when I take it out on Friday. It's going to rain here tomorrow, so I'll probably wash it tomorrow. The thing is filthy. It is so dirty. It's disgusting how dirty the car is right now. So I'll probably wash it in the rain tomorrow, and then Friday I'll film that video, and we'll do some blower line with it and stuff. But that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for stopping in. Thank you for all of you that watch all the videos too. There'll be a steady flow, hopefully weekly videos from this point on, going forward for a while. And I'm also got this idea from Kyle SVT and from Paul the Fox of doing subscriber cars and stuff like that. I'll do a video announcement on that at some point, and how to get me pictures. But if you want to do pictures, video, I'll showcase your ride on the channel. Plug your YouTube or Instagram if you have that, anything like that. I'll explain that more in an upcoming video later on, because I kind of want that to fill in some of the gaps during the wintertime. So I figured I'd start showing off, rides and stuff like that for people that watch the channel, or anyone that wants to plug their stuff too. But that's it, everyone. One more comment here. Congratulations again. Be careful. Failing alternator, fuel pump, dead intercooler pump can make a car go boom. Splash your torquers insurance on 93. Yeah. It does have the new 4 fuel system. So hopefully that's why I did it, because I didn't want issues with fuel pumps or the hat or any of that stuff. I just wanted all new stuff and not have to worry about any of that. But I'll definitely definitely I'm going to be careful with it because it can get out of control pretty quick. And I have traction control is turned off in the tune. The car doesn't have traction control anymore. So it's you press the pedal if you aren't careful, it goes sideways quick if you're not paying attention. But yeah, catch you later. Get out there and enjoy that thing. Yeah, Friday definitely. Friday, I'm going to take it to work this weekend too. It's supposed to be a nice Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully the next week after that is good too. I haven't checked the weather yet, but I just hope we have a real good stretch of weather with what I have left and no rain. And I just be able to really enjoy what I can with the time that's left with it. But thank you very much, everyone. I'll have either that video Friday or Monday, or maybe I'll release it on the weekend, but I'll at least film it on Friday. But thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you soon.